everyone, this is Preet Verma and this is video of meaning and concept of human rights. So whenever someone asks you what do you understand by the term human rights or how will you define the human rights, what will be your answer? Many of you might start thinking what to reply, how to reply, right? So you know what is the problem in concluding the concept of human rights? That you have many information about it and you get confused what to reply. So I will give you a simple answer that you won't forget. So in order to live with dignity, whatever the things required is known as human rights. For example, breathing is essentially required. So it is a human right. Similarly, eating, to live with freedom, to enjoy own property, to move freely, etc. are the basic rights or human rights. So guys, in this video, we will discuss the meaning and concept of human rights, the purpose of human rights, characteristics of human rights, major categories of human rights, existence or sources of human rights, and at the last, major human rights. So let's begin with the meaning and concept of human rights. Human rights are moral principles or norms that describe certain standards of human behaviors and are regularly protected in municipal and international laws. They are commonly understood as inalienable, fundamental rights to which a person is inherently entitled simply because she or he is a human being, and hence these are inherent in all human beings, regardless of their age, ethnic origin, location, language, religion, ethnicity, or any other status. So they are applicable everywhere and at every time in the sense of being universal, and they are egalitarian in the sense of being the same for everyone. They are regarded as requiring empathy and integral part of the rule of law. Interestingly, at one point in time, it protects the interest of one person. At the same time, it gives duty and obligation to same person to respect the human rights of others. And it is generally considered that they should not be taken away except as a result of due process of law based on specific circumstances. Now, secondly, human rights are historical concept that exist in every civilization and in all forms of governance. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucian have made reference to respect and well-being for others, which mean that human beings must conduct themselves in particular ways. The modern society also has recognized certain rules of respecting human dignity and their well-being and formulated them in the form of human rights. However, in the medieval era, the modern concept of human rights substantially documented in English Magna Carta of 1215 and English Bill of Rights of 1689. So the Magna Carta of 1215 was an agreement between the English King John and barons who were unhappy about the taxation policies of the monarch. The Magna Carta included clauses in the form of rights language. It granted the barons the right to legal trial and prevented their arrest or imprisonment or outlawing or abuse or denial of ownership of property without legal trial. And the English Bill of Rights of 1689 was an agreement between the parliament and the king that prevented the latter from abusing the Protestants. It included clauses that prohibited levying of money by the crown and provided right to petition the king, right to fair trial, right against cruel and unusual punishments or excessive fines, and right to parliamentary privileges, speech, votes, etc. to the member of parliament. Besides, some of the Western thinkers, including John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Thomas Paine, etc., also attempted to define the concept of human rights that you can see in given image, where their definitions also illustrated. Now let's move on the second point, that is purpose of human rights. So following are the major purposes of human rights. First, to ensure people's basic rights, to protect the human rights of minorities, to restrain majority or powerful person who normally tend to exploit poor or weak people, to control the societal corruption, to ensure one's freedom of speech and expression, to ensure equality in society, and to ensure one's responsibility, etc. Now let's move on the next point, that is characteristics of human rights. So the major characteristics of human rights are: first, it is universal in nature, as it is for all and for everywhere. Second, it is inalienable, which means it cannot be taken away. Third, all human rights are interlinked with each other. And fourth, human rights cannot be treated in isolation. And last, human rights are non-discriminatory in nature, which means it should be respected without prejudice. Now let's move on the next point, that is major categories of human rights. Though the human rights are uniform and equal for all, however, there are some special categories of human rights, as children's rights, women's rights, minorities' rights, and scheduled tribes and scheduled caste rights. Now guys, let's discuss the existence and sources of human rights. So the modern concept of human rights are embedded in the constitution of democratic countries. The two earliest and influential examples are that of the United States of America and France. So in 1776, when United States of America was formed as a new nation, it adopted the 1776 American Declaration of Independence, which included in its preamble the human rights, values, and stated, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now, in 1789, at the beginning of French Revolution, the National Constituent Assembly of France adopted the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, which, drawing upon the United States ideals of human rights, laid the foundation of human rights principles still valid in the present French Constitution. The French Declaration stated in its first two clauses that men are born and remain free and equal in rights. Social distinctions may be founded only upon the general good, The aim of all political association is the preservation of the natural and imprescriptible rights of man. These rights are liberty, property, security, and resistance of oppression. So these declarations recognize the inherent dignity and the equal and inalienable rights of human beings. And they form the basis of achieving freedom, justice, and peace in a modern democratic state. In the last, let's check out what are the major human rights. So, following are the major human rights. First, the right to equality and freedom from discrimination, the right to life, liberty, and personal security, freedom from torture and degrading treatment, the right to equality before the law, the right to a fair trial, the right to privacy, freedom of belief and religion, freedom of opinion, right of peaceful assembly and association, the right to participate in government, the right to social security, the right to work, the right to an adequate standard of living, the right to education, the right to health, and the right to food and housing. So guys, this is all about the meaning and concept of human rights. However, before saying bye-bye, let's have a quick recap that what we have discussed in this video. So first I have started with meaning and concept of human rights, and then I have discussed purpose of human rights, thereafter characteristics, categories, sources, and in the last I have concluded with examples of human rights. So guys, if still you have any problem, you may ask through the comment box given below. So bye bye, see you in the next video.